Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and I am here playing a 2v2 in Total War Warhammer with Indie Pride. We have an interesting combo. I'm going to be playing as the Empire. We have two Hellblaster volley guns, one over on this hill, the other one in that far position. Indie also has Arguelon, so we have a fair amount of range and kiting ability. And I've brought a very big Tarpit force, so a lot of flagellants. And let's put this on slow motion so we can go over the army composition. And just real briefly, our enemies are going to be a force of Norsca over here, as well as vampire counts with a lot of units on the far flank. But anyways, here's our position. So it's most important to start off with the two artillery battery positions. One is going to be up on the left, the other one in a more forward position on the right. He is intended to get preliminary shots off and then kind of draw the enemy in while the back continues to fire. So what else to cover? Well, I have one gunner unit here, and then I have another one up front, and then we have, I believe, 4 of these flagellants, so a couple of them scattered up front. These guys are unbreakable, so that's why they're kind of up front to hold the enemy in place, allow us to get shots in, not only with my handgunners, but also Indie's Way Watchers, etc. And then I have a couple greatsword units, so one position there. And then I believe I have, 2 more behind my Hellblaster on the right-hand flank. And then I have the Tattersouls over here, the Regiment of Renown Flagellants. So they're pretty freaking awesome. Got Frenzy and all that. And then over here, Sigmar's Sons, also unbreakable. So I'm relying a lot on unbreakable units, expecting the cannons here to get lots of kills and our other archers to get lots of kills. So an interesting build. It's fun to bring those in the face of vampire counts who have a lot of fear and terror. Well, if you just bring unbreakable, you can counter that pretty well. And then I have a single halberd unit in the back to face off against monsters if they decide to get in the rear. Put this on play, I guess. And he has a whole bunch of wild riders, 2 positioned here, 2 more on the left flank, and then he has some hawk riders with a glade lord on top, and then he has a bunch of these way watchers, 4 of them in the front. I also have a general of the empire who's pushing forward, and my flagellants are just up front starting to get some easy bait onto the enemy, and it looks like they're going to be drawing a lot of attention. Lots of units coming in here, the ice wolf chariots as well. Almost the entire force is coming after that. They do have a single Norscan giant, and actually I was surprised to not see any mammoths, so that's kind of a nice little relief. But they have 2 of these chariots who have anti-infantry. They can tear through a fair amount of the Empire's forces, and then marauder champions with great weapons and some berserkers thrown in, as well as Wolfric. As for the vampire count force, he has a big screening army of these skeleton warriors up through the front. Some Graveguard, all with great weapons. So it looks like they were anticipating cleaving through a lot of armor. Not really what you'd expect from the elves and Empire. So it's not the best builds to counter. And then they have a ton of direwolves. Unfortunately, these guys are going around on a long expedition around the flank. They would be much better used close up to the army to harass, harry, and force back our Way Watchers. But anyways, now that that's been said, we can go ahead and watch the battle up close as my general of the Empire gets in underway. And you can see those Hellblasters already starting to fire. We have some of the wolves chasing after our Way Watchers. They're going to get some pretty dangerous shots on them before they get countercharged by our other units. But let's go ahead and watch this from the Hellblaster volley gun. It is freaking epic. Firing point blank into that, although we have this skin wolf coming after me. And he does get tied down, and look how big he is compared to these flagellants. He's going to turn about and start pounding them, but I do throw in a greatsword force to try and hold him down, but that is a very scary unit. They can do tons of damage. But luckily, that's why I have a handgunner force to fire into him, 2 ranks firing into that guy. Yes, a lot of collateral damage, but we're pouring in the HP hits, and this greatsword guy slashes at the back of this skin wolf, or werekin, sorry. In the center, Indy has charged in with his Wild Riders. I'm throwing in 2 more flagellant units to tie down the enemy. Their chariots are starting to take a bit of a beating, and we have tons of archers out here. A Vortex spell does get off to try and hit my guys, but we have so much supporting fire here, and a lot of it is going to be hitting this Norscan giant. Let's get a nice shot of him as he tries to trudge into the battlefield. Not much support about him. He just takes a face full of that. He's going to freeze up, and he's going to take a lot of damage, and then he also gets a net stuck on him, so he's going to be obliterated before he can get into the fight. Look how quickly he goes down. Prey of Anathrema, minus 22% missile resistance, and he is down and out for the count. Do want to see him go down. Boom, 3 volleys and that giant is toast. Although now here comes the great... Oh my god, we destroyed that werekin. Although he'll be back, he has regeneration. His morale will recover. But anyways, the enemy is pushing up a big assault along the front from the undead forces here. They do have a Vlad von Karstein who could get into melee and tear us up, as well as a Banshee. With that physical resistance, she should be doing pretty well. But again, my force here is just intended to hold the front with elite forces and some fodder units. My Hellblaster is trying to disengage and pull back, but the Terrorgeist is not having any of it. That being said, we do have another Hellblaster who can fire into here, but for the time being, he is just tearing it up into these units. Let's watch as these shots start to collide. These are armored Chaos forces, but you're going to see heads roll, as that Hellblaster is meant to take out forces like this. Very good against these clustered enemy units. Down in the center, as the Terrorgeist does get in here, we're going to swamp it with our forces. Sigmar Sun units were in the mix, but this thing is going to get picked apart by the beaks of these riders. More shots going to be coming in to hit the units in the center, and with that giant down, the entire Elven flanking force is open to just fire into this. This Berserker force is going to get picked to pieces. The central position still getting shot at. In the back, we do have a charge of some of these direwolves in the back, but they're getting skewered by these wild riders. Very easy battle for them, so they get a victory, and they're going to rally back around, although there are some diverted into the center trying to save this Terrorgeist, which is quickly losing a lot of its health. We have our Glade Lord in as well. My General of the Empire is slowly trotting back, telling his oh my god, that's freaking cool. I love... Oh, I've never gotten this close to it. I didn't know there were like ghost units on a board. But anyways, he does a little bit of a cheeky hit, but my guys pull themselves back up. Almost no damage done. But like I was saying, I'm letting my Tarpit units, the Flagellants, just hold the enemy back. The Skin Wolf, like I said, is back. He helped crush some of our units, but I'm pulling the rest of my forces back here, and we're just going to allow our gunners to go to town, especially on Wulfric, who's trying to duel in the center. The enemy has finally shattered our couple Flagellants, but with Hellblasters and two handgunners firing into the fray here, they are not long for this world. And somehow that Terrorgeist is still alive. Oh my god, just tore that guy to pieces. But Sigmar's Sons are unbreakable as well, I believe. Yeah, so they're going to be okay in this fight. And we're going to be able to turn our attention to it soon. You can see my guns pivoting around. I'm going to send one of my greatswords to try and tie down Wulfric. Not quite sure how that's going to go down, but my priority now is to deal with that Terrorgeist. It is very mobile. It can regenerate, so we really want to deal with it while it is tied down, and it does have a buddy of nightmares here. Our guys going up in little giblets, as we always see. But in the rear ranks, we do have the Wild Riders that have been landing hammer and anvils on the Graveguard units, as well as the Lords sniping at them. They're starting to deteriorate. That sandbagging did end up being really beneficial because the fight has gone on so long that they're just going to start popping of their own accord here. That's pretty awesome. And down in the center, a bunch of enemy heroes here. Another one of those awesome animations just tossed to the side. A bloody splatter on the landscape. In the center here, Wulfric is joined by some of his warriors. They are going to start routing, but Wulfric, with very good health, is going to actually probably be able to kill my greatsword. So my gunners are, hoping that this champion of the North doesn't turn back and deal with me, hoping that their greatsword brethren can hold out, but it doesn't quite look like it. In the distance, the elves have circled around, and they're going to try and hit some of these marauder horsemen who are trying to deal with our archers, but these prancing elves are going to deal with them quite handedly, and I do love the mask on these guys. Some of my favorite masks in the game, looking awesome. But anyways, they're keeping the suppressive fire on enemy units here, firing down into the center, and oh, look at that shot here, hitting some of these units, and the Terrorgeist is going to see its way off the battlefield. It is one shot away. My Hellblaster is targeting it. You can see a couple shots coming in. Here come the last couple ones, some of them going through the chest cavities there, and it's going to duel with our Glade Lord, cast the net on it, and now look at that final volley now that he's been tied down. Boom, hit him with a couple more shots. I think he's going to be down to the last little bit of health there. Some archer volleys as well. Oh my god, he should be going down. More Glade Riders coming in, and there he goes, crashing to the ground. The beast has been destroyed. Better hope the Night King doesn't find this one. Anyways, down in the center, Wulfric is standing strong, shrugging off shots. He did kill my greatswords, but now he's basically the last man standing here, with gunners literally on all sides shooting at him. Bowman also going to be firing in. He doesn't have anywhere left to go. my flagellants saying, even we're not crazy enough to approach this guy. We're just going to shoot him to death. And I believe, yeah, there he goes. He went down in the midst of this corpse field. And now we're picking apart the enemy grave guard over here. The Banshee's still alive, but everyone basically just died right there. The spell having lost its potency. That Banshee, boom, goes away. She's like, peace out, I'm gone. Vlad is still here fighting strong, but these great guards are going to have the honor of slaying him. And with that, the battle is over. So I hope you guys enjoyed this fight. It was really fun to play with Indie Pride, and I really like these types of interesting builds where you bring a lot of unbreakable cheap units as Tarpits and just let your high armor piercing and damage dealing units fire at them from a distance. In particular, the unit up here, the Hellblaster, that was firing the entire time on the hill, probably raking up the kills. This unit is usually pretty short range and not super cost effective, but if you can keep your enemy at arm's length for a sustained amount of times, that's when it really pays off, and that's exactly what this army was built for. The enemy could have countered this a little bit better with Raising Dead on top of this, getting around with the Dire Wolves, and doing a little bit more in terms of coordination. They kind of bum rushed us with one army and then a second one, allowing us to clean up and secure the flanks. But yeah, didn't deal with us as appropriately as they should have. But anyways, that's okay. This battle was just for the fun of it. Can end this replay, take a look at some of the final stats, and yeah, like I was talking about, Hellblaster with 147 definitely paying for itself, and even the Flagellants here, who were supposed to be meat shield fodders as unbreakable units, they did trade pretty well. So yeah, I was very happy with that. Tattersalls doing pretty good, Gunner's doing okay, and Great Swords with 175, really awesome. So my army sustained itself. You would think that Norsca could take it on, but here he just didn't have that many forces. I would have brought perhaps some more Skin Wolves to run around the flanks and tie down our archers, and then at least a Mammoth. Those guys just absorb so much fire. They would have absorbed a lot of the fire coming in here, and they would have helped trample and punch through our front lines to tie down the rear. He just had such small numbers here that it ended up not really trading for itself, and the chariots here got tied down. They are great at running down foot soldiers, but they really got stuck in the main blob in the center, didn't do too much. Although surprisingly, these champions, 119, really great stuff. But then again, it is trading against Flagellants, so no experience chevrons for them. You can see they maybe didn't do that much. And then Marauder Horsemen are still pretty much garbage. I would recommend not bringing them. As for Tywin here, he brought 1,600 men, so a big fodder force. He could have matched my sandbagging with his sandbagging. And I would have recommended he does that. He had done that with a couple zombies. Rather than skeletons. Skeletons are a little bit more expensive, but don't really get you that much damage. If you're just going to be holding the line, probably do it with some zombies. And if you're going to go for that sandbagging approach, probably bring a corpse cart to add some regen to your force, help sustain that main line. And then the overkill with the Dire Wolves Hill, really not necessary. Probably trade those out for 1 or 2 Crypt Ghouls or Crypt Horrors. And then I always bring 2 Banshees as the vampire counts, either 1 or 2. They're very good with their physical resistance. They can tank it out. As long as the enemy doesn't have a particular way to counter them, they can actually end up having a lot of sustain. Stick them in with your tar pit units, so they can help rally that main line. So pretty good. The composition with great weapons here, not necessarily the best counter pick. That's not going to be really good against the elves, and it's not necessarily that required against forces of the Empire. So a bit of a weird composition to see from the vampire counts here. Nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed that battle. Stay tuned for more, and see you in the next one. Peace out.